Hello and welcome to the Perth Gaming Crew Show. My name is Jonathan and joined today again by my co-host Johnny. Johnny, what is today's episode about? You've got to tell the hungry people of Perth and Beyond.
No, Batman! Perth Gaming Crew!
Exactly. Today is one that is a special for you Batman fans. Johnny and I have been talking about Batman all week. The Penguin TV series has just recently released and some of you might be getting into that. You're probably well aware that the second Matt Reeves film is also delayed to 2026. So you need something to tide you over. And Johnny and I realised we've gone all year without running a Batman special, which is a criminal offence. So we've raised the Batsignal today, and we are covering the greatest movies, the greatest comic books, and also the greatest games that probably everyone has played or at least heard about to some extent. But the thing we have to cover first is Batman is such an amazing character. What appeals to us about him is like not just himself, but all the characters around him and his rogues gallery of villains. So, Johnny, I know you love Batman, but tell us, who is your favorite character in the Batman verse?
So, my favorite character in terms of Batman's key allies is hands down, without a doubt, Jim Gordon. Particularly in the era when I think he's Lieutenant or Captain Gordon. He hasn't become Commissioner yet. He's in most interpretations, in most of the iterations of the Batman story. That's a time when Gotham City is known for being very corrupt. The police force is very corrupt, and he's got this reputation as the one, good cop in Gotham City. And there's this really interesting tension because he's forming this alliance with Batman because to fight against all this corruption, he can't do it by himself. But he's very conflicted about it too, because he's like a very honest cop, and like aiding a vigilante it kind of goes against his being. So it's really interesting to watch in that, I guess that Batman, what's called that Batman Year One era. Watch Jim Gordon forge that relationship with Batman, and it's definitely very tense at first. It doesn't come too easily, but it kind of comes of necessity, and I find that really fascinating. So Jim Gordon's definitely, in terms of Batman's allies, one of the most fascinating characters in the Bat universe for sure. What about you, John?
He's great. Oh, like Jim Gordon, like I've said, is just like a staple of Batman and portrayed so well, like in the comics, in the movies, and in the games. And it's interesting, like, Bruce Wayne Batman is already blurring the lines, being a vigilante, but Jim Gordon, as you said, is the one guy in the police force which is corrupt. Like in the whole of Gotham, like the police are corrupt. Often the judicial system's corrupt, or the political system's corrupt, and he's this one burnt out cop. He's always smoking his cigarettes because he's always under stress. His family life is under a lot of stress, and he's trying to manage this unique relationship that only he has with Batman, who eludes everyone else because he believes they're on the same side, and that tension is so good. Great pick, Johnny. For me, it was hard. I like a lot of the allies, but I do like. So there's been a couple of iterations on Robyn over the years. And I really like the Robyn dynamic that was introduced, just to kind of bring out that father figure character of Batman, but also that soldier kind of leader figure and the risks that they take as like leading this kid into battle. So mine is the Red Hood, not the Joker version, of course, but the Jason Todd, who is the second version of Robyn. For those of you who don't know, the backstory there is, Jason Todd becomes like one of the Robins under Batman's wing, so to speak, and he dies horribly at the hands of the Joker in a really horrible way, and he's later kind of resurrected by Ra's al Ghul's, I think it's called a Lazarus Pit.
Yeah,
which turns him slightly insane.
Yep.
Although I think the trauma of being beaten to death with a crowbar would do that to you anyway.
Probably fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. And he's interesting in that he brings another really interesting dynamic to the whole Batman story, because it's an ally turned enemy in a way,
Yep.
but he takes on his own form of vigilantism, but he kills criminals. He
Yeah.
takes that step one further, because he's like, well, hang on, Batman, you keep sending him to Arkham Asylum, and they keep coming out, and he's been murdered by the Joker, you know? So he's like, this is ridiculous. Let's just, he starts his own gang war, takes on Black Mask at the start and the others, and just a really interesting character. And then I think develops Bruce Wayne and Batman as a character. And as a reader, you're in a dilemma going, oh, we don't kill people. This is why Batman's so cool. But I get why Jason Todd's doing this. Like, should he be stopped? How do you stop the Joker from exiting Arkham Asylum for the 100th time, etc.? So, yeah.
A great character,
cool.
and it's so fascinating, the story behind the story with Jason Todd, because the fans back in the day voted on whether the second Robin, Jason Todd, should die. They had the DC Comics did a thing where
I
they
did not know this.
asked their readers, should Jason Todd die, and they voted yes, and that was and but it's obviously so fascinating because the death of Jason Todd just adds another layer of trauma to Bruce Wayne's already kind of tortured identity, because he's always got the death of his parents, and then he's got the guilt of the second Robin dying, and there's a whole fascinating arc around him taking on a third Robin, and how he's resistant to that for a long time because of his guilt about Jason. So great pull.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting, and also in addition, the first Robin, who was reluctant to take on too, and it's kind of like his worst nightmares come true. He's lost his second Robin, who he treats as a soldier but as a son. It's fascinating. For those of you who love the Batman universe, I just encourage you, to go look at the comics or the movies and there's one called Under the Red Hood, in terms of the Red Hood, which is fantastic. It's an animated movie.
Animated
flick.
In it too? Yeah, I love that flick.
It's good, isn't it?
It's well done.
Yeah, it's top stuff. But look, Batman has his allies, and he also has his rogues gallery of enemies. Where do you start? There's just so many iconic ones, from the Riddler to the Joker. But Johnny, who is your number one pick? If you had one Batfoe
first of all, it's got to be said, hands down, Batman has, I think, easily the best rogues gallery in the comic book world. No matter what you say about your DCs or your Marvels or whatever here, I think without a doubt Batman's got the best rogues gallery.
Yeah, with you there.
For me, easily my favorite in the Batman rogues gallery is Harvey Dent, also known as Two-Face. And in a lot of the different iterations, he's superbly portrayed as a sort of tragic hero. He's the district attorney. He's very much in a lot of the different iterations working very closely with Commissioner Gordon, and Batman is part of a sort of triumvirate. Yes, that's it. That's Long Halloween. Is that from Long Halloween?
This is actually from Robin Year One, but the way they've done Harvey Dent looks just like the Long Halloween, which I've got a copy of over there.
And I think one of my favorite interpretations of Harvey Dent is in Batman the Animated Series, where they just tell that story of how Harvey kind of loses control and gives in to the what they call in the series Big Bad Harv, and that's how the Two-Face character emerges and becomes dominant, and he's got this obsession with duality and chance and the number two, which just makes for fantastic Bat shenanigans in all the different iterations. So easily my favorite. What about yourself, John?
I love Harvey Dent too. He was a good pick. When you mentioned him, I was like, oh yes. I mean, they're all so top tier. It's very hard to pick. And as for Harvey Dent, his full costume is the split personality, and I really love the transition from his Batman's ally. And in the animated series, he makes quite a few episodes as a ally. He's not just the straight up villain.
No.
You see that transition, and it's oh goodness, we've Bruce has now lost someone else. He's this friend enemy. Very, very interesting character. For me, it's Scarecrow.
Nice.
I mean, look, the Joker is a kind of out there pick, and I think he's right up there for a lot of reasons and others. But I really like Jonathan Crane as the Scarecrow, not just because we share the first name, obviously, but I think he's quite an interesting story himself. He's a psychiatrist turned evil. has a fixation on the concept of fear, and one of the key themes in the whole Batman metaverse is fear, like how Batman overcomes his own fears or faces them to different degrees, and then he uses fear as a tool to attack and like overcome and defeat the like criminal like society of Gotham and all that stuff. So Jonathan Crane to me represents that element of fear the most, and he does it in a really interesting way with his kind of like fear gas and fear darts, wearing his scarecrow creepy mask, which I quite like. It's very gothic, which Batman is very gothic. I love the whole vibe, and it's ultimate gothic for me. And then I like how it triggers in Batman his own trauma. Often the story arcs that involve the Scarecrow show Batman being re-triggered about like his parents' death or something that's happened he has to overcome. And we'll get to it later, but the role that the Scarecrow plays in the movies and the games is just... I'll stop. I'll hold off till we get to those points.
No. It's a great pick. Great pick. Yeah, no, he's a classic villain and really really fascinating themes that come out in all the Scarecrow stories across the different media. So yeah, I can totally see the logic there.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So look, Johnny, we could do a whole episode on all the villains and the allies and Batman himself. There's so much there to dive into, but we are a gaming show, so we do need to move on to the games, which many of you would have played from over the eras. I'll go to throw to you, Johnny, first. We've got a few. We picked up a list of games that we thought would interest viewers and ones that we just remember and love and that kind of capture Batman. So, Johnny, where do you want to start? What do you got?
Well, given that we've just mentioned Dr. Crane, I think I have to mention Arkham Knight because it's
the latest and greatest.
Well, the latest entry in the Arkham series, which is a fantastic series. That first Arkham Asylum game was revolutionary. It had such an impact on games in general, but in terms of being the foundation for this series, absolutely massive. Obviously, Arkham City, which followed it, was massive. And because of and there will be some spoilers here for these games because these games have been out for a while.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that out there.
People
so
from Perth and Beyond, if you haven't played your Arkham games, hit pause, go and play your Arkham games, and come back and watch the rest of the episode. But because of the way the story ends up in Arkham City with the Joker dying, you get a really interesting story in Arkham Knight where, at least on the surface, as you start, it's really a Scarecrow. Scarecrow is like the central villain at the start of the game, at least. But as it goes on, you realize there's more to it. But I love Arkham Knight, particularly the full season pass, which has all the extra stuff built into it. Like there's like a Batgirl campaign that's kind of set as a prequel to Arkham Knight that's built into it. There's a cool there's a Mr. Freeze thing that you get to do in it. It's called In From the Cold. There's like a Ra's al Ghul little side campaign where you can you have to make a choice whether you're gonna you're gonna help Ra's al Ghul's daughter, not Talia, but her sister, who's trying to work against her father, and you have to make a choice whether to help her or to not, and it has consequences depending on your actions. I love how like all the Arkham games, they've brought in all the Riddler puzzles, and so the Riddler's gone and put in all his different bits of traps and things to just drive you mad as you go through the main campaign and try and solve all these little Riddler puzzles and things. This is the reason I bought a PS4 so I could play Arkham Knight. To be honest, it's a classic. It's a classic entry into the series, and a great one if you're a fan of the Red Hood character, because he's such an important feature of the main story. And I think it's a very faithful telling of the Red Hood story that's been woven into this game. So if you haven't played Arkham Knight, definitely give it a go. It's on pretty much all platforms at this point. I think.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It
You'd
might not
probably
be on Switch. If it's on
possibly not
Switch, I'm
Switch.
not sure you'd want to buy it there
I'm not
anyway.
sure you'd want to play it on Switch just for the visual. It wouldn't the visual.
Yeah.
Um, the visuals probably wouldn't be quite as impressive on Switch. I mean, if you could play it
Hmm.
on I played it on a PS4 and it looked
Yeah, it'll work
amazing.
on your Xbox One,
Your
PS4, because it was built
Xbox,
for those
yeah,
systems.
your
It looked great.
PCs, yeah, yeah. So I have a lot of love for the whole series as kind of a Batman simulator, basically. But Arkham
Hmm.
Knight is probably my favorite in the series, just because of the visual polish and just the depth of all the it's almost like almost every rogue in the rogues gallery gets some role in it. Kind of impressive in that way too.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so it's funny, just reflecting on this now. So Arkham Knight, I've got it. It's in my backlog. I played through like Arkham Origins, City, and Asylum, and then I got to Arkham Knight and I was like, oh, I've had a lot of Batman time. So I put it in my backlog
Fair
with a few
enough.
other big games that I haven't played, like Red Dead Redemption. And it's like, I'll come back to it. And I think I'll come back to it now because I haven't played a Batman game for a long time. And it's funny to hear that it's like, oh, two of my favorite characters are like the lead characters in this game. Why have I not played this game yet? Yeah, but I just remember at that point in time I'd had 3 full Bat adventures plus the Telltale games. So I needed a break.
Fair
So
enough.
it's probably the perfect time to jump in. But I remember when this game came out, Johnny, and it was an elevation of everything, of the combat, of the graphical presentation, of the immersion and storytelling. But they also introduced like the Bat car, like the
Yes,
vehicle,
the
which shoots
vehicle.
tanks.
Mm.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, how do you feel about that? Like, how did you find that in terms of the game and the gameplay? Did it affect it all or make it worse or better? Do you think it all fit in? Because that was one of the things I was unsure about. And I was like, oh, do I need another game? Like, and is the car really like,
I think it integrates the Batmobile really well.
cool?
And I really enjoyed the Batmobile sequences, and the sequences where there's straight up Batmobile like racing through the streets, trying to like take down different enemies and that kind of thing. But there's also these kind of Bat tank sequences, which possibly if I have any criticism is after we've done a few of them, they are a bit samey, and but you don't really have to do all of them. They're like, if you want to do like a completionist run of it, and I don't know, put like 40 hours into it, sure, but to do the main campaign, you don't need to do them all. You can do a couple just to get a flavor of it and move on to something else. It's kind of got so much variety in it, so yeah. But I quite enjoyed some of the Batmobile sequences where you're chasing down enemies and stuff like that. I kind of enjoyed that stuff, and those are woven into the Riddler. There's like Riddler themed Batmobile sequences too, where you're going through kind of like different obstacle courses. It's like the Riddler has got his own Excite bike set up for you.
He would do that tricky Riddler. I mean, like, and for those of you who don't know, with this whole series, like, the Riddler does his own side quests where he has all these challenges where you have to get, like, the Riddler question mark or something, and then it'll give you, like, extra gear or extra bonus stats or something. It's cool that that's integrated into the game that way, that I can see them doing that. Oh, cool. With the original trilogy, I really juggled between the 3, and I was saying to Johnny, I liked Arkham Asylum the most is the original, and that's one I played through recently. But when I think back to which one stays in my mind the most, I would actually have to say it's Arkham City. So in terms of the order, the first game that came out was Arkham Asylum, then there was Arkham City, and then there was Arkham Origins, and then Arkham Knight, which came to PS4, PS4, Xbox One, and the other 3 games came to the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Arkham City evolved the first game by bringing in the open world formula, and for me, I personally don't like open world formulas, but this one does it in a way that it still feels very handcrafted. Like, the side quests feel very meaningful. You're not grinding around the city just doing nothing. Like, it feels great. Probably most of all to use Batman's Bat Cape and start gliding throughout the city. I don't remember from that, Johnny, but once you did it,
Big
and you're
fan.
just like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. And this is before, like, Marvel's Spider-Man did the spiderweb stuff in the recent games, so it was phenomenal at the time. And these games just got everything right. So they made you feel like Batman. The infiltration aspects, like you could hide under like a ventilation shaft, and a soldier would walk above you, and you hear them chatting to each other, and you just jump up and grab them and pull them down.
Yeah.
And then the other soldiers would be on alert, and you could scurry away, climb up onto like a gargoyle perched inside, and they'd all be looking for you. And then you could use your bat grappling hook, your bat hook, whatever it's called, to get the next one. They were just so like really made you feel like Batman. They just feel great. The combat itself was really fluid, sharp, and I think honestly, if you go back to these games now, you could still really enjoy them. And if you haven't played Batman, I would actually encourage you to start with Arkham Asylum and then go on to City and then Origins, which is a prequel, but it's good to play that later because it came out later. And then Knight. You could definitely play through them all. But yeah, Arkham City was the one I remembered the most because just some of the story beats in that game are fantastic. So, for example, one of the side quests is with Victor Zsasz, who some of you, if you don't know, he's a serial killer. He's a bit more of a typical serial killer. What his kind of gimmick is, like he puts like a scar, like a cut on himself for all his victims, and he's covered in them. So he's obviously like massacred all these people. And you're just cruising around the city as Batman doing your usual thing, and then the phone starts to ring. And it's like, oh, here we go. You answer the phone, and then Victor Zsasz starts telling you his story. And he cuts you off, but what you're doing at the same time is triangulating the call. So it does send you on a bit of a fetch quest, but in a fun way. And you're like, I have to like catch this guy, because when you finally catch him, he's got to murder people. So you do need to catch him and take him down. And that's just one of the really interesting side stories where you see pretty much everyone in the rogues gallery of Batman in your own fan service way being presented. Another one was with the Penguin. So you go through the Penguin. The Penguin and his gang have overtaken like a museum. I'm not sure if you remember this, Johnny, but and then as you're going through the museum, it's so good. Like the level of detail these days is incredible. Like compared to games these days, even is incredible. And as you're going through this gallery and sneaking your way through and fighting a few of his like gangsters to get closer to him, you get to like display areas, and he's captured different like villains and heroes and people and put them in display in crazy ways. And he's even got like setups for like villains that he hasn't captured yet. I think he's got one for the Joker, but he's got them for a number of villains who he's hoping to capture, and one for Batman. And he's got one for like one of Ra's al Ghul's henchmen. Like she's just like this ninja sitting in there, and you think she's like dead or she's peacefully sitting there, and then what happens with her is really cool because that then ties into Ra's al Ghul's story, which I won't spoil too much, but it's just like it's so expertly designed in terms of bringing the Batman universe to you. Sorry, Johnny, I can't stop.
John,
it's so good.
I need to ask you: are you like me, where you're like obsessed with reading all the stuff that when you go and like you get all the character profiles, and it's so detailed, and it's going into all the lore, and there's all these different sort of little side stories emerging, like for example Penguin's rivalry with the Joker and why they hate him.
And the gangs talk about fighting each other.
That's right. Like Joker's gang is fighting with Two-Face's gang.
And Two-Face's gang, there are 3 or 4 gangs. And even they're like, the gangsters have got like their clown mask, or they've got their Two-Face outfits, or their Riddler out. Well, the Riddler ones are in disguise. But it's so good, Johnny?
It's a great game. No, Arkham City is amazing. That was it built on the formula of Arkham Asylum and just took it to the next level. Like amazing game. Yeah, it's a great pick.
Yeah, and again, if you're new to the series, everyone has different interests and different views. Like Arkham Asylum is great for that kind of Metroid, more straightforward experience, and I would start there because you have to learn all the Batman tools and the combat systems, and then the open world in Arkham City goes kind of like just expands the experience. And then Arkham Origins was criticized because it was the 3rd game, and it was like, I've seen all this before. There's not a lot new, but the storytelling is great. Like the actual premise of that story is great. I don't know if you played that one, Johnny, but
I played it last Christmas because it's got a Christmas.
Did you?
It's got a Christmas setting, so I played it over Christmas.
What did you think of the story? Like the whole bounty hunter?
I like the story. It's got a cool story where it's like there are like 8 or 9 bounty hunters after Batman,
Yes.
and he's got to go kind of take them all down, and actually they use it as a again, spoilers. They use it as sort of they use it as a sort of Joker origin. So it's meant to be like
Yeah.
Batman's first encounter with the Joker, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, super cool.
But also has some great Batman villains like Black Mask and
Deathstroke.
Bane and Deathstroke and
Yeah. Lady Shiva's in there.
Yeah, Lady Shiva gets in there. Killer Croc is is one like the first boss basically. Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, I love Batman Origins too. They're all great.
Yeah.
I dig them all. Yeah, no, loads of fun. Yeah, great Batman simulators.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite game, you know, but these games are all, again, like they're interchangeable. Not interchangeable, but they're, if you just want a really good game, and I think the one thing about gaming is that we often expect like someone to bring out a new game, like a sequel to Arkham Knight, and they often don't. You know, we saw the Gotham Knights game come out, it fell over and had a lot of issues. It's not terrible, but it's not perfect. It's just a great example of a series that quintessentially represents the Batman experience, and you can go back to time after time and be like, oh, I love the one with Catwoman's story arc, so I'm going to go play that. Or I love the one with the Joker story arc, origin story, so I'm going to play that, and you just immerse yourself.
Yeah, I thought should make mention of in Arkham City they introduced the Catwoman as a playable character, and then you can switch over between Batman and Catwoman, and Catwoman's got like a really different fighting style. She's a bit more ninja-like, whereas Batman's kind of got a more sort of grunt kind of approach, heavy hitting. And then they brought that back for Arkham Knight, so you definitely get your time with Selena Kyle in both those games, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, super cool. What more can you ask for as a Batman fan? But moving on from the semi-modern and the modern to the retro, Johnny, I believe you played or now play some of the older games.
Yeah,
Fill us in.
I can't help myself. I love these older Batman games. So I did play a lot of Batman games in the Nintendo and Super Nintendo era. In terms of the Super Nintendo era, I had a lot of love for Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo. This game was kind of classic beat 'em up, but with was really faithful to the 1992 movie, starring Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer, of course. It was just a fun beat 'em up, and it hit all the notes of the movie. It even had a slightly weird vehicle sequence where you're driving around shooting what look like you're shooting CDs out for some reason. I guess they needed to tone down the violence a bit. So instead of shooting like guns,
it got Nintendoized.
It's like kind of like shooting. It looks like Batman shooting out his 90s CD collection or something. But other than that, the beat 'em up sequences are really good, and all the boss fights are really satisfying. So you get to fight Catwoman, Penguin, and all the different like henchmen that feature in the 1992 flick. And there's a great like screen clearing attack that you can use a couple of times in each game, which sort of just clears the screen. It's just such a fun beat 'em up. If you haven't played it, not an easy one to access these days. You'd probably have to play it on original hardware or find some way to emulate it, to be fair, because it's one of those games that's trapped in probably license hell because of the movie license of the day. But I thoroughly recommend it if you ever get the chance to play Batman Returns on Super Nintendo. I think it probably was. It might have been on the Sega equivalent,
Sega Master System, maybe
Genesis, or as well.
Sega Genesis, yeah. Oh, it was the Mega Drive here.
Mega Drive here, sorry.
Sega. Yeah, and then the Genesis in America, and then I was like the Master System was the original Sega here.
Yeah, but I played this on my Super Nintendo, and I did many playthroughs because it was just so much fun.
Oh, I missed this. So I had a Super Nintendo. I don't know. Again, I think when I was growing up with the Super Nintendo, the games that were available were the ones that were at the local rental video shop,
Mm.
so it probably wasn't there.
Mm.
And on the rare occasion when I did buy a game, or my parents bought me a game for a gift or something, like, well, they would have been the ones to buy it. I just wouldn't have known about it or wouldn't have seen it or something like that. Yeah, so it looks like an actually decent beat 'em up.
It's good.
I can only hope, Johnny, I don't want you to spoil this, that there is a boss fight with the actual penguins and the big rubber ducky from the movie. That's all.
There is. There's definitely there's a sequence where the big rubber ducky comes out, and that's when you fight you have a couple of boss fights with the penguin. So they're quite enjoyable. And they're all kind of unique. So all like the Catwoman boss fight, there's one fight with Catwoman that's really cool. Really well executed. Like the way it's crafted is really cool. Definitely worth checking out if you ever get a chance.
Awesome. I'm going to Google this after. But you had a love for Batman that goes back even further, which I think we have to throw in now to put you on the spot, which is the original Batman NES game, also based off the original Batman movie with the Joker, yeah?
Yeah, so...
I hadn't seen this until I pulled this footage, so... Yeah, that's not bad for a NES.
Batman 89, yeah. So this is on the NES. Sunsoft had this really difficult platformer, and they had the Batman license, but it really so this is one of those games where I'm almost convinced it was going to be a completely different game, and then they suddenly realized, oh, we've got the Batman license, and they quickly had to skin it with Batman themed stuff, because it's like he's like it's like
Ninja Gaiden almost, or something like that.
It feels like a Ninja Gaiden sort of style game, like he's taking out army men and stuff like that. So it feels like, and it's got a very kind of futuristic vibe in general. But they've obviously worked in really well, all the Batman themed kind of stuff, and but it's got some really cool boss fights, lots of really tricky. This is not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination, but there's lots of really cool platforming and Batman kind of jumping off the sides of walls to go up shafts and stuff like that. Excuse me.
It kind of looks a bit like a Castlevania game too, where the Castlevania games you move forward and you've got to hit the enemies really quick. Like the combat is very simple, but timing is essential, and then you move into the next stage, so to speak, as you see there with a couple of tones in the background. I never saw this game and I never played it, but it looks kind of cool. And it looks very much themed off the original movie itself, not just that rogues gallery. So what impresses me about this, though, apart from maybe having a fit after watching this little segment here, this is probably the game that created the warnings for those, but just like the artwork at the start with the Batmobile and the wheels spinning, all this kind of stuff looks really quite good for a NES game, and then even the in-game artwork looks really good to me.
It did a really great job of capturing the mood of Batman 89. It's quite a gem in the from the NES era for sure.
Nice. Well, moving on from the retro to something that's a bit more modern, and it's a series that came out around the Arkham Asylum Origins series, but also around the Nolan trilogy, which we'll talk about shortly. As much as I really love the Arkham, Arkham City and those series of games, if I had to pick, I would legitimately pick the Telltales Batman games above it. It's a bit of a hot take, but I think these games are the perfect Batman games. I think they bring the whole living comic book thing to life. Like, if I envisioned my perfect Batman game, yes, that's the perfect action game, the Origins, the Arkham series, but these games are just if you want a living comic book where you're immersed in the story, but you're also involved in the storytelling, with really great storytelling, and all the voice actors are there, all the original ones that you saw in the other series as well. So it's just perfect that way. Then this is it. It uses a gorgeous, as you can see on the screen, a cel-shaded art style. And essentially with these games, they're released episodically. So there are 5 episodes per season. There are 2 seasons. The first season focuses on So first of all, you get to play as both Batman and Bruce Wayne, which is genius because you've got to interact with different characters and solve different puzzles from both perspectives. So, for example, you might come across early on Carmine Falcone, who's one of the original crime bosses of the city, as Bruce Wayne. And you're kind of powerless because you haven't got your Batman stuff on, and so you can choose to give in and suck up to him, or you can sort of stand up to him, but then worry that can impact your business dealings and your image as Bruce Wayne, or he might affect you that way. And then later you can interact with him as Batman or villains as Batman in a different way, where there's combat scenes and there's, he's like, tell me where they are, all that kind of stuff. This game is just, it's great because it keeps you hooked in the sense that you often get to, essentially the game is you do a bit of walking around, a little bit of puzzle solving, but it's centered around the conversations that the characters have. And when you're conversing with a character, it gives you a couple of choices about how you respond to the character. And then when you respond, it goes, they will remember that. It shows that at the top of the screen. So every choice you make, almost every choice you make really impacts the story, the way it'll go, or your relationships with characters, or how the characters will respond with you. All those kind of things. And it's great. It introduces, it also does a couple of spins on classic characters that it does something different with them that you wouldn't expect as well. So I love this, both games to bits. With the first one, for example, again, if you don't want to hear any spoilers, don't tune in, just skip the next bit. But one of the confrontations you come across as Batman is there's a scene where you're up against the children of Arkham, who are this new criminal group who's risen up, and you actually have to pick who to save or help. And you either have to help Harvey Dent, who is your friend as Bruce Wayne, and you're working with him as an ally as Batman, or Selina Kyle, who you're dating at that time as Bruce Wayne, but also she's Catwoman and you're aware of that. So you literally get maybe 3 or 4 seconds to choose. Suddenly you're put in this position that you don't expect. You're like, oh shit, if I don't save Harvey, is he going to become Two-Face? If I don't save Selina, is she going to turn on Bruce Wayne? I kind of like seeing that romantic relationship develop. And that's just one of the many dilemmas that this game puts you in. So it's just a game that it's easy to pick up and play, tells a great story. I've replayed it multiple times. Even talking about it, I just want to go back and play it again. Johnny, have you heard about or played the Telltales series of games?
This the Batman Telltale series is has been in my backlog. I'm a bit like you, where I played.
Did you say Batlog?
The Batlog, indeed, the Batlog. A bit like you with the Arkham Knight. I played a lot of Batman games, played through all the Arkham games, and then these came out, and I was like, "Oh, we need a bit of a break from Batman," and so it kind of has sat in the log to come to at some stage. But I do think I'd have a lot of fun being able to play in the Bruce Wayne, the daytime world of Gotham, as well as the night of Gotham as Batman. I do like that there's a game that lets you do that, because that's not what Arkham is about. Arkham is all about Batman. You don't really get the Bruce Wayne character much at all. So that does sound cool, and it's definitely one I need to get into from the log.
You would love it. And Harvey Dent makes a really strong appearance. Commissioner Gordon makes a strong appearance. I do have to mention the second game in the series because, just a couple of quick reasons. It's a fantastic sequel. And look, we haven't talked much about the Joker today because a lot of people love the Joker. So I should just mention that with both seasons, the Joker has a different spin on him. And he can become your ally in some way, but he shapes you as a vigilante. And the way that plays out is quite interesting. Or you can kind of disown him and he turns into this horrible thing. It really makes you make hard choices because it keeps you on edge too, because you're like, it's the Joker. Can he be my friend? But I need him, because you're put in situations where you need him. And then in the second season, without spoiling anything too much, sorry, Johnny, you've got Amanda Waller, from the Suicide Squad, and then you've got Commissioner Gordon, and you've got to constantly pick between the two and other characters about who you're going to support or who you agree with, and it's not an easy decision. It doesn't just make you go, of course, this is the right thing to do, because there's always consequences with every decision. One other thing I will add, avoiding spoilers, is that when you play through an episode, it shows you the key decisions you made, and then it shows how many people who have played the game made the same decision as you. So like 20% of people did this, and 30% of people, like 80% of people did that. So it's good because it kind of makes you, it validates your decision, or it makes you think, oh God, have I done it right or wrong? It's just very immersive. It's a really cool experience. I really encourage anyone to go play it. Can't speak of it highly enough, just as a game in general, even if you're not a fan of Bat Universe. But Johnny, we've ranted on long enough about the games. What's the next topic? What are we covering next? Are we going into the movies?
Let's talk movies. You've got to talk about Batman movies.
Favorite movie all time, Johnny? Bring it out. What is it?
Without a doubt, 2008's The Dark Knight. Middle chapter in the acclaimed Nolan trilogy. And I just think in the trilogy in general, Nolan just brought really high quality story and actors to a DC comic book movie, and obviously Heath Ledger, Australian actor, made such an impact with his interpretation of the Joker. And I don't know if you remember at the time, before, when he was cast, there was a lot of naysaying and it's going to be terrible. We got this Australian guy, and it's going to, won't be as good as Jack Nicholson's 1989 Joker. And he just blew everyone away with this interpretation of the Joker, which is so kind of honestly terrifying. And the whole cast is amazing. Aaron Eckhart brings the Two-Face story to life so convincingly. There's so many great elements. Just in general, just a perfect film for me. Like, not just a Batman film, but just a great complete story, and gut wrenching at times, like some key points in the movie. It also draws a lot of inspiration from one of my favorite comic book runs, the Long Halloween. It's kind of, you see a lot of the visuals from the Long Halloween get kind of literally pasted into the visuals of the Dark Knight. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people would pick The Dark Knight as their favourite Batman movie of all time, or favourite within the trilogy. And I think I see a lot of people describe this more as like a Joker movie, because when you look at the amount of time the Joker spends on screen, or Heath Ledger as the Joker spends on screen, he spends more time on screen than the other villains do in the other movies.
Yeah.
And we often see, and those scenes are fascinating. Like when you're watching him, even the opening scene, and I remember when this movie came out, they were promoting IMAX as a big gig at the time. And I don't remember if you remember this, Johnny, but they released like a 5 or 10 minute clip, the opening clip of the movie, and it's absorbing. Like, it's just like, it's like a top quality, realistic crime drama with Batman, believable Batman, and the Joker is just like you just watch it and you're like, what? And my impression of this movie is that it just has fantastic set pieces which the Joker sets up. There are a lot of things going on, like we see character development with Harvey, and we see it with Bruce, and we see it with Commissioner Gordon and all the others. But the Joker is the centerpiece here, and he's, to me, like, his scenes are the centerpiece. Like, I love that scene where he's chasing the SWAT vehicles and gets in like he kind of improvises with the chase, like he involves like just hook shots to bring down a helicopter. Again, spoilers. We have to say a couple of things. This movie's come out, a long time ago.
2008 now. It's a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, he commandeers this big truck in a really terrifying way. Just the things that he pulls off, you're kind of on edge all the time. And even when he fails, as a character, he's so fascinating. Did you have a favorite scene from this movie, Johnny, at all, or a most memorable thing that you loved? I know it's putting you on the spot a bit, but is there something... in particular?
I must admit, I do love the final sort of sequence where Batman finally takes down Heath Ledger's Joker, and
Why is
he's
that? Is it just satisfying, or is
there's
it?
so many elements that I love about that. Like I even love the bit like where the technology that
Mm,
Batman's developed to try to track down the Joker, and he's told Lucius Fox that I'm giving you this power, and
mm,
because Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, is like, this is so unethical.
mm,
If this machine is here in Wayne Enterprises, I'm not going to be here.
mm,
And then how it's used for Batman to like triangulate the Joker, and there's that
mm,
whole sequence with the tactical team trying to take him down, and while he's trying to rescue hostages, and it's just such a great interpretation of a Batman Joker
mm,
clash.
mm.
It's done so well, and then I also love that I love that it has that great line when he's finally taken down the Joker. This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, and that's just uh, quintessentially captures the Batman Joker relationship.
Yep.
So it's just done so well. But there are so many other great points. Like
Mm,
I love how Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow is threaded through the whole trilogy, and
mm.
when we get if we do talk about Dark Knight Rises, I'll talk about my
We
favorite
are. It's next. We are.
I'll talk about my favorite scene, which involves
Cool.
Cillian Murphy. But
Cool.
yeah. What about you? Your favorite in the trilogy is Rises.
Yeah, yeah, it is right. Like, I, to be honest, all three are equally great in their own ways to me. I like them for the different villains they incorporate and the different themes they highlight. It's very hard to pick a favorite. Like, to me, none are terrible and none stand out much more than the others, just to me. But I chose The Dark Knight Rises because, first of all, I think a third movie in a trilogy is very hard to pull off. Do you know what I mean? There's
Mm,
no that, and so we see like this shattered, broken, crippling Bruce Wayne who's a
mm,
recluse. Like he's lost loved ones. He's defeated all his enemies, but he's struggling with his own identity.
mm,
And then he's almost reluctant, but almost excited to come back out as Batman again, who's fearless and just doesn't care anymore. So we see in my view, the best interpretation of Christian Bale's Batman.
mm,
I think that's his best acting and the best character development, just
mm.
because the stories had that time. Not saying the other ones are bad,
Sure, sure.
but we come to that point where they've gone, no, this is how I like what's done there. And again, the set pieces really stand out to me. Johnny, what did you think?
A couple of things about Rises. I think it's a great movie. I know it gets slagged off a bit. I think
Mm, mm,
unfairly, and obviously, the Tom Hardy's like choice with the Bane voice has been lampooned quite a
mm,
bit, particularly like even by DC itself. In like if you
mm.
ever watched the Harley Quinn animated series, the Bane
It's like
voice has
angry
been,
Donald Duck.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
it's
know, you
been
can't escape it
lampooned.
once you hear it.
It is
Yeah.
kind of like it is. I know it's been lampooned quite a bit, but I actually think it's actually a really good movie. It has my favorite interpretation of Selena Kyle, Catwoman. I think Anne Hathaway absolutely smashes that character, brings that to life perfectly. Very faithful to the
Mm,
source material.
mm,
And as I was saying, I have my favorite scenes in Dark Knight Rises are the kangaroo court held by Scarecrow, and he's like in this situation, running like sentencing hearings for the
mm.
citizens of Gotham, and out there and like falling. It's a great little thread to the Nolan trilogy. I like that they brought him back from the Batman Begins. They had it. He was there at the start of the Dark Knight in an action sequence, and then they bring him back for those scenes in Rises. So I think it's really cool.
Oh, it's genius. Yeah, I like that. Like I said, Cillian Murphy's like threaded throughout the three movies. And you find there's a lot of links with the first movie with this third
Mm,
movie, like you said, which we will have to briefly discuss.
yeah.
Batman Begins. We didn't pick as our favorite, but it is a lot of people's favorites.
Mm,
It changed the superhero movie genre. I remember when I was at uni at the time and it came out. and I was really excited for it. And it was like, oh, finally they're doing a new Batman series. How's it going to be? And the realistic take they did was just perfect. The way this movie kind of starts, where Bruce Wayne's in the middle of, I don't know if it's like Bhutan or something like
Yeah,
that,
it's
like
meant to
the
be
Himalayas, something like that.
Himalayas. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you're going like, oh, and he's like meeting up with the League of Shadows was really cool, and it gives you the story of like why he's becoming Batman, which I think is handled very well. But I really liked, particularly with this movie, how they picked two villains that didn't have the spotlight, Raj al Ghul and Cillian Murphy as the Scarecrow. And they were both done really well. I think they were done cleverly and in a way that was realistic. Like it was like, oh, I can buy into this. Like I like it when there's that scene where the Scarecrow whips out. He's like, "Do you want to see my mask?" He chucks it on, and they don't actually use special effects like CGI much in the Batman movies, but they use it briefly where they show him and he's got worms all over his face, and I remember like going, "Oh, geez," like and then we see the reversal of that where Batman does it to him, and he's just like leaking out tar from his mouth, and it's just perfect. Scarecrow, like it captures that character in their interactions in the comic books perfectly to me. Rachel Dawes is a wonderful character addition there. Katie Holmes, I wish she'd made in the second movie because I thought she was perfect for that role.
I have a bit of a different take. I think I loved Katie Holmes in Batman Begins, but I think for where the character went in Dark Knight, Maggie Gyllenhaal actually fit the role a bit better.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I couldn't have seen Maggie Gyllenhaal in Batman Begins because it's a bit of a different. The character's a bit different in the two movies. So
yes, she's just more like kind of sexy, confident take in the second one, isn't she?
Yeah, she's
and a bit cheeky. And the first one's more like the stalwart kind of lawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
Activist. Yeah,
so,
I get that.
And so I kind of think it works. The recasting actually kind of worked in that instance. But yeah, no, fantastic trilogy. It brought it so faithful to the source material. As much as I love the 90s Batman movies, they did some stuff that as a Batman comic book fan, they did some stuff that infuriated me. Like I've got a memory of going and watching Batman Forever, and they're showing the little origin sequence of Batman's like parents being killed, and I can hear someone's mum saying to the kids, "Yeah, that was the Joker that killed Batman's parents." And I'm like, "No, it wasn't!
No, how dare you!"
So I kind of love that Batman Begins did like the really authentic Batman origin story. And whereas the 90s movies, they felt they had to tie everything together. So like because the Joker was the villain, they had to it's very much like an 80s movie where the villain has to go against the person who killed his parents. So it's like, I understood. It was the time. That was the thing they were doing in movies at the time. So I understand, but I kind of love that Batman Begins righted all that kind of stuff in many ways.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, look, speaking of source material and timing, we are going to have to wrap up soon, but we do have one more Bat topic we have to discuss. And it is the comic books. And I might give Johnny a break because he's just like exhausted himself on the history of Batman. Yeah. So I'll kick off.
Please do.
We both like had to pick our favorite kind of like Batman paraphernalia. We're both on the same page. Oh, I didn't even mean to make that a pun. By choosing the visual novels. Batman originated from the comics. Won't go into the origins there, but we do want to highlight our favorite comic stories. Mine is Robyn Year One. So I've got a few here, and as you can see, the Mad Hatter's there, and this is the introduction of Robyn, of course, to the Batman metaverse in this form of the visual novel. I really like this one because it's a bit old school, so you do see them in their old uniforms, which it doesn't appeal to me, but I like seeing the origins of the story and the darkness of Batman that still comes through with this comic. So in this story, essentially, Batman and Robyn have teamed up, and Robyn's learning the ropes, and they've got this kind of like things are all quite friendly and happy, and Robyn's quite confident, like he's a cool kid at school. He's flipping his batarangs around at the Bat Cave. it's all going quite well. And Batman's kind of like, look, calm down, kid. Like there are some big supervillains, not just blockbuster like side gigs like that. Watch out for like Harvey Dent. And so Harvey Dent is like the main protagonist, like the main villain in this.
Antagonist,
the antagonist. Sorry, not protagonist. He's the main antagonist, and he absolutely beats Robin Blue as a kid, which is really hard to witness because you see him as a child being absolutely bashed by this mob boss. And it's horrible, and he's traumatized by it. And this isn't a Jason Todd telling of the story, but it's still you're bringing a child into this world. Like, what are you doing? Like, as capable as he is the right thing for him. So that I quite like how that's handled and the story it tells. And it also tells the story of the Mad Hatter, which is a crime that Robin solves on his own, which is quite an interesting. I think some of the extended Batman villains can get a bit ridiculous, but the Mad Hatter I quite liked in terms of how he's handled in the Arkham series, and I think he's done well here in he's inducting these girls, and Robin's on like, no, I need to like stop this now, I can do this, and he does. So I quite have a soft spot for it, and I really hope that one day, beyond what we've seen in the cinemas so far, and even with the current Batman films that Matt Reeves is doing, I would love it if they integrated Robin either as the boy or the young adult, and handled that in a unique, realistic way, that would just highlight what Robin brings to the universe. But that's my comic book take. And look, I don't know if you've read it, Johnny. You would love the Harvey Dent representation in this book if you haven't read it.
That looks cool. I don't think I've read Robin Year One, to be honest. I've read some of the other. I definitely collected some of the later Robin solo comic books, so they were really good, and they feature Robin dealing with stuff when Batman's not there, which is really a cool take on the universe.
Cool.
But for me, I have to mention Knightfall from the early 90s. So I've got it in its kind of graphic novel format, but this is kind of the inspiration in many ways for Dark Knight Rises, because this is the series that introduced the Bane character. And in this early 90s comic run, basically the way the breaking of Batman story takes place is that Bane has attacked Arkham Asylum, and pretty much all the Batman Rogues Gallery is on the loose at the one time. And Batman and Robin have to run this kind of gauntlet to capture them all, and over time, Batman is just exhausted by the monumental task of reigning in the chaos of the escaped Arkham Asylum rogues, and the climax is, of course, being taken down by Bane and having his back broken, which you see in The Dark Knight Rises.
And just cringy moment, isn't it? You're just like, oh, I can't believe they're going that far.
Yeah, but it's kind of my favorite story run from the Batman comic books from back in the day, because it just came at an interesting time. The DC Comics was kind of rising back to the forefront for a period, because it was doing really interesting things. So they did the Death of Superman story maybe a year before this, and then they did the Broken Bat storyline, and there was actually a period after that where Bruce Wayne wasn't Batman because he had a broken back and he had to recover from that and go on a bit of a journey, which they kind of summarize into a shorter time frame in Dark Knight Rises. So that's definitely and I've got a big Batman comic book collection. I've got a huge tub of them sitting behind me right now. That's just like,
got this one too, don't you?
Yeah. I love the Long Halloween. If we have a Halloween special this year, I'll probably talk about that in more in depth.
Maybe we should.
Yeah, I'll talk about Long Halloween. It's very much a favorite for me. So we've probably gone on a bit too long today on all this
We've gone back crazy. We've gone back crazy. But look, people of Perth and Beyond, we knew you were hungry for a bit of Batman action and information. There is so much to delve into with the comics, the movies, the games, something for everyone. We hope you've enjoyed the episode this week. Johnny, thanks again, as always, for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure. We would talk about Batman for another hour at least if we could, but life takes over. We will see you next time. Check out the website, check out the Insta page. Johnny, did you have any final words for the Batman and Perth Gaming Crew fandom before we leave?
No, just going to say it's been great fun. And I was just going to say it's 3 weeks to where we are at PAX. Less than 3 weeks now. So getting very excited to head down to Melbourne in just under 3 weeks. It's going to be huge.
Can't wait. We are looking forward to seeing some of our viewers there. But that's everything we have for now. Go enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go watch or play or read a Batman-related thing. You love it. We love it too. That's all from us. Bye for now.